pair of Fuimos pilots navigated the transport ship through the still thin atmosphere of Sparrow. They sped it over several engineered mountain ranges before finding the designated river. They followed it to a point where it met another large river and began their descent. On a large plateau overlooking the river's fork, a marbled tower blinked a laser beacon at the ship. The transport honed in and slowed over the pad on the roof. After a moment of hovering, it touched down safely. A ramp lowered and people started exiting. Dam and Shineless stood waiting. Dam was holding tight to little Caroline. They were smiling as they watched their friends and family exit out of the ship. Sam laughed and near jogged over to Dam. The two men shook hands and then pulled each other into a hug, squashing the little girl gently between them. "You got a few grays, old man," Dam said. Sam let him go. "Presidential life is rough, bro." Shineless smiled at Sam, waving, but she headed over to Olivia and little Langdon. She peered into the stroller. "He's gotten so big." She turned to see Micah stepping down the ramp carrying her hybrid son. "Oh my God, that little bodacious." Micah nodded. Shineless ran over and hugged Micah and kissed the little bull baby. "Oh, he's so adorable." "Thank you, Shineless." Micah leaned close to her. "Thank you for hosting this. We all needed a vacation. Your valley is beautiful." Shineless leaned away, smiling. "It's nothing. We needed a holiday. I'm glad you and the families could make it out." "Baby girl!" a high-pitched voice shrilled. Shineless turned to see her adopted mother Pouch-Cheek rushing toward her. The Infinigan, half her size, hit her in the hips and latched on. Shineless hugged her back. "Hey, Mama." Crunch Crunch followed up at a slower pace, 3 younglings following behind him. Crunch Cheek was the last to descend the ramp. He waved at his sister. "Hey, girl, how's my niece?" Shineless walked over and knelt, welcoming her family into a hug. Dam walked over and shook Asterian's hand. "Glad you could make it, big guy." "Thank you for the invite. It means a lot, you opening your home like this to us." Dam laughed. "What's the point of having a world if you don't share it?" Dam held on to Caroline in the crook of his left arm and waved his right hand in the air. "Come on, everyone. Let's head in and get the tour." Dam started toward the door and entered into the tower. Shineless kept hugging people as she herded them inside. Dam and Shineless threw out map files to everyone detailing the entirety of the tower and the surrounding grounds as they led everyone to the guest floors. Shineless led the pack, pointing at her projected hologram. "Mom, Papa, we have a crystallarium built spanning floors 7 to 11 on the north side of the building. You and the family are welcome to anything there. Erebus is a shout away if the air is stale or temperatures are off." Pouch-Cheek squeezed her daughter's leg. "That is amazing. Thank you. I'm sure we will make it work." She patted her mom's head. "Don't go altering anything. If the little ones get any urges, I have a workshop in the basement and tons of storerooms of junk." Crunch-Cheek bobbed his ears. "You got any speeders I can play with over the holiday?" Dam walked up beside him, a smile spreading across his face. "I got one you can help me tweak out. I'm having problem with the propulsor drive. Want to help me tune it?" Crunch-Cheek double hit him in the side. "Copulations, yes I would." Dam nodded, adjusting the little girl in his arms. "Deal. Maybe after supper tonight." "Agreed. Law, brother." Crunch-Cheek replied. Shineless continued pointing at the holographic map. "Sam, Olivia, I got you 2 in the suite across from ours. We share a pool, but you're free to use it all you want." Asterian raised up his hand. "Shineless. What is our schedule for the next 10 days? Shineless looked over at Dam and shrugged. "Well, we're going to keep it loose. I was hoping we all meet up every day for supper down in the dining hall. You all are free to explore and do as you wish other than that. It is your vacations." Dam nodded and spoke up. "The final meal of thanks will be held the night before the day you all leave. We were hoping to dress up for it. We don't really have many occasions to, and I thought it would be nice. What do you all think? Crunch Cheek looked at his parents and then over at Shineless. I don't know what he means. Fancy clothes? He looked down at his tool pants and burn-proof vest. Sounds like this won't work. Shineless patted her brother on the head. Don't worry. I had your closets filled. If you want anything adjusted, let me know. We got printers on the 20th floor. The three little Infinigans ran up at that. One of them bounced in a circle beside Shineless. You got a print shop? Shineless knelt next to the small female. Yes. You interested in making some stuff with me this week? The small girl bounced a few more times. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, scratch the eyes out, yes. She spun again as she bounced with excitement. Pouch Cheek placed a couple hands on the girl's shoulders. Crunch Letta, calm down. Pouch Cheek looked up at her adopted daughter. She's fond of designing things from scratch. Quite gifted. We got her in an after-school program assisting the ocean growers. They've expressed interest in her future career. They say she is a prodigy. Shineless smiled down at her sister. Then we definitely have to make some things. Crunchletta pulled her forearms in toward her chest and pumped each in and out. Yes, yes. Thank you, big sis. I was scared to meet you, she said as she lunged into a hug. Shineless hugged her back and lifted her into her arms. We're family. No need to worry here, she said and kissed her on the forehead. Let's get everyone settled into their wings. Shineless turned and pressed the elevator button. Dan checked his arm data HUD. Everyone meet in, say, 3 hours for drinks, then supper. Sam patted him on the shoulder. Sounds good. I was hoping to get settled. Maybe take a swim in that pool of yours. Dan patted his clone brother back. Heck yeah. Only if I can join you. Asterion walked up behind them and patted them both on the shoulders. I'm down. He laughed as the elevator dinged open. The family was busy passing trays of food around the table. A grazer catering company kept bringing in course after course, filling the spaces between each person's dining set and refilling drinks. Pouch Cheek was telling a classified TARPA story when Sam interrupted. Sorry, Pouch Cheek. He slurred after his third Irish coffee. I just have to say something. Crunch Crunch patted his mate on the shoulders. We've all heard it dozens of times. She's proud of infiltrating the Delakian's ship. What you thinking about Sam? Sam looked around at everyone, pausing on Olivia. I've been talking about something a lot also. I'm sick of all the responsibility, and I'm not going to run again. Olivia patted his hand. We know. You don't have to. Sam slowly nodded at her, and then pointed his mug at Asterion. Asterion and I have talked a few times, and we guys talked around the pool. I'm going to back Asterion in the next election. He's helped build schools, parks, and he's a successful entrepreneur. And a war hero, Micah coughed said. Sam nodded. And a war hero. He's saved lots of asses. Shineless was bouncing Caroline on her knee and spoke up. He's also got an entire race of people born, built in voting block. Pouch Cheek looked around at everyone. Doesn't the president have to be a human, though? You had that listed in the Accords. Sam shrugged. He's got enough human DNA in him for me. I think he'd be badass at it. I plan on getting Sparrow and our close worlds on board with it as much as possible, Dam said. There's no telling if anyone else is going to run. Frith is going to, Pouch Cheek said. The Craddock are fully behind him, as is a lot of their allied grazers. Asterion squeezed Micah's hand. Frith wouldn't be bad, the tower said. A good honest running. I like it. I'd be proud to win or lose in that. Frith has been making some dealings. Ask any of the AI, Pouch Cheek said. He's got money coming in from numerous outside sources. She pointed a hand at Dam. He's been talking to the Margot, trying to cut you out of your deals. He's even got the Kawaru factories on Twain lined up to start producing those crystals. Dam shut his eyes for a moment. Competition? Fucking hell! No one even told me. Dam hit the table. No wonder they have been so quiet around me. They're planning a double cross. Sam took another drink and a bite of chicken. Well, he said with his mouth full, competition keeps us all honest, you know. Less monopoly, more trading, and better prices for everyone. Efficiency, you know? Dan ran his hand through his hair. No, Sam. Competition means less money to fund all our endeavors. Less money for our military ships. Less money for your parks and schools. Less money for all the add-ins at that station. It's a threat. We have to deal with threats. You can't let them fester until your arm rots off. Everyone got quiet for a moment. The young and Finnegan kept eating, unlistening. Asterion stood up. There is a stereotype about us, well, humans. Me by proxy of some of my blood. But the stereotype is there. The Clouder sees you all as the Binder. Not many have read, or if they have, they don't believe how tribal and divided humans really are. They know Sam, and Sam is an enigma. I kind of think it's due to his introversion, his positive conquer-all attitude, and maybe partly his alcoholism, but he isn't all humans. We do fight, well, the Tar less so. But humans fight. We divide over the stupidest shit, and we'll fight to the death over it. Hell, the #1 contestants at the arena on Vitalia are VAT-cloned humans. If we let this devolve, let in this hyper-competition that plagued humans since always, it could ruin the Clouder. I don't want that. Olivia held onto her son, patting his head. She looked around at everyone. We aren't a monarchy, though. That failed before and will again. We are a democracy. Dan shook his head. Democracies have failed as well. Divisions drove them off balance, and then one side reverts them to fascist states. It's happened 100 times. Sam stood up, staring at Asterion. Fascism is fought with freedom of press. We have that still here. Dan looked over at his brother. Think we should buy the press? Subvert the media? Bias them against Frith? Sam shook his head. No. Democracy has to be open, and you have to have the risk of losing. We do the opposite. We give the obelisks access to all records of any presidential candidates. They can have everything on Asterion, on Frith, on anybody who runs. All your dirty shit will be out there, Asterion. What do you think? Micah laughed. We're kind of freaky. Pouch Cheek's ears bobbed. I don't think humanoid sexuality would be a cause for concern. I've read a lot about it, research, you know. Studies are finding most species find your sexual diversions quite interesting. If anything, it may be an attractor for votes. Dam shifted in his chair. We can get Orbit to run some studies for us. Do some polling. I want Asterion to win. Fuck Frith. Sam sat back down. I want it fair, though. It has to be. Asterion sat back down. Sam, either way, I thank you for picking me. He looked over at Dam, his large ears flicking. Damn, if Frith is trying to get a contract, let him try. Maybe he can get the recipe. Maybe it will cause more of those crystals to be on the market, which means more advanced AI, which means more capabilities for more species on more worlds. Dam shook his head. No, it's my deal, and I'm going to be the one to achieve that. Shineless took his hand. It'll work out. We will figure it out. Crunchcheek, at the far end of the table, spoke up. Why not talk to him? You're both humans, right? Figure out a way to get it out of the Margot, then both make the crystals. More crystals, more capability, right? Sam laughed. Yeah, we're all human. Let's work together. Crunchcheek tilted his head. The other and Finnegan at the table followed suit. Seriously, Sam? The Margot aren't Clouder. They have chosen not to be. You bound us all together. We take on everything that comes at us. Why not attack this problem as a unified front? You don't think Frith would work with you? Pouchcheek bobbed her ears. Human ego. Damn, you're mad he's trying to take your business. You feel threatened, attacked. Maybe we could go and try and broker a deal where you both win. Shineless spooned another bite into Caroline. How about we shelf all of this for after dinner? Sam, you're already ahead of everyone on drinks. Slow down. Let us finish our meal and we can start again on this. Olivia smiled. Good idea, Shineless. Let's just enjoy our meal and revisit this after." Sam shrugged and took another sip. The next day, everyone met up down at the waterfalls. The Young and Finnegan swam continuously, their breathers allowing them to stay under for extended periods of time. Asterion relaxed out on a large rock, soaking up the sunlight. Sam and Dam sat on a stone outcropping that jutted out next to the waterfall. "You really that worried?" Sam asked. Dam nodded. "I want a legacy, Sam. I want our families to be set, free of all this bullshit for as long as they exist." Sam nodded. "I get that, but it isn't just our families. You know this. Everyone here is in it together. Every species, every human, everything we're building so people can live." Dam laughed quietly to himself. "We used to be the same, you know. We could finish each other's sentences there in the beginning. Where did we change?" Sam patted him on the back, looking out over the swimming hole. "You came down here." "What's that got to do with anything?" Dam said. "You've got a world here, resources for lifetimes, pee in the water, and something downstream will take care of it." Sam turned his head, looking at his mirror self. "You're spoiled here, isolated. You live like living is easy." Dam stared back at him. "I have it hard here to Sam. Wave after wave of your refugees I've built homes for. I found places for everyone sent my way. Everyone that wants a job, I've gotten them one. No hungry mouths, no one suffocating." Sam nodded. "You've done great at it. I'm not saying you haven't. But everyone is given separate room. Everyone is quartered off from one another, only interacting in specified ways. You lack the chaos. You lack death on the other side of the bulkhead." Dam nodded. "The disaster theory, right?" Sam nodded again with him. "Yup. Humans are at their best when they have to figure out how to save themselves and everyone around them. Out there, it's continuous. Everything has to be working right, or people could die. There's emergencies every cycle on Twain. All the races, forced together, all the time. They butt heads or whatever they have, and things break. People break. Resources spread thin, recycling forced. We're always having to sacrifice a bit for our neighbors. Because if you didn't, you all would die," Dam said. "Yup," Sam agreed. "I see what you mean." Dam continued. "Planet life is easier, more relaxed." "Yup. You can be more selfish." Dam laughed louder. "I guess we need to fund more orbitals." He stood up and looked down at the pool. He jumped and cannonballed toward the water. Sam laughed. "I love this," he said to no one, and then stood up and cannonballed off to the right of his brother. While the Earth was still a bubbling field of cooling lava and accretion dust, a civilization was thriving on the far side of the universe. Their world, covered in ocean, never took the turn towards air and lack of pressure as humans had done. On the bottom of their sea, they had developed socialization, teamwork to find and procure food. Tools developed from seabed allowed them to become the apex predators of the deep darkness. With time, they developed cities, burrowing into the rock and sediment while harvesting energy from their mother planet. They grew chemosynthetic food, and their populations grew to cover the entire subsurface of their world. As room grew tighter and real estate prices went up, an enterprising mogul set his sights on going up. He developed bubble tech able to lift large structures up, holding them in place with a tether. The first expeditions to the outer edge of their oceanic atmosphere led them to discover a new energy source, a binary ball of heat pouring energy over their world. Sea currents, their origin highly debated and still shrouded in mythos, was quickly explained away from the newly identified heat source. It was an age of discovery. Their species had awakened from the bottom of the ocean and began their technological journey upwards and away. They settled their system in a span of a few hundred years, their populations booming. Any source of energy they could harvest, they quickly adapted to growing bacteria blooms for their filter-feeding food crops. They experimented with AI, honed it, fought with it, and subsequently conquered their own creations. The sea creatures over time became space creatures, weaning themselves bit by bit of biological hindrances. This is where their species divided. Sindonic was a thin-born, scrawny, his forearms long and thin, perfectly bred for the habitats his clan called home. He was from a line dedicated to the study of the outer. Generations upon generations they had traveled at near light speed across the galaxy. He had led a spur branch of the family to a spinning cloud of matter that was spiraling in the early sequences of a star's birth. Here Sindonic was harvesting the free-floating materials and refining them down to build his life's dream project. Thousands of his brothers and sisters cohabitated the mobile station. They lived, ate, worked, and slept to one concept of time. One thing came after another, and accepted it for no more than that. There was only the project, and now the project was Sindonic's. They had built a new engine, attached it to a durable and yet sensitive probe. Once activated, it punched a hole, boring and tearing a rent through a sublayer of the universe, hopefully pinning it to the other side of the galaxy. The probe disappeared. The creatures didn't fret. They merely built another, launched it, and waited. Again and again, they built probe after probe, changing them little by little each time. Sindonic's gestational host stopped by his office after mealtime after the 200th probe launch. "Hello, my head project leader. Are you emotions running true?" she asked. He turned and looked at her with his red eyes. His 4 perpendicular arms sagged over his head. "Not truly. No. The universe is vast. These probes could be on the other side of the universe, at least I hope so. They are probably just exploding once the rifts close around them, though." She wobbled over and picked up his hands. "Do not fall to despair. They are making it through." He looked at her, focusing and unfocusing his eyes. "I hear what others are saying. The project is running its course. I will soon have to step down from project lead. Some other new project will come along and capture everyone. I'm a failure. I'll never see the probes in my lifetime. They're lost. All data left for some far future, if any, project lead." She squeezed his hands. "Sindonic, you are the smartest of all my brood. You are project lead because we respect you. We love your ideas. Others may have doubts, but I do not. If you think it is time to forego this project, then let us let go of it and move to the next. Just don't let go of who you are." He squeezed her hands back, an idea percolating in his quad-lobed mind. "You are correct, as always. This project has ceased, and I think I do have an idea for another." He stood up on his short legs and pushed across the room, using his arms to pull himself rapidly over to his desk. "If you would kindly, I have to start drafting." She stood up as well and pulled herself toward the door. "Of course. I can't wait to see what is next." Sindonic took a shuttle on his own back to Abyssal, homeworld of the Sknecht. He docked at the outer ring of the orbital gyroscopic station. The older, sea-bound, Sknecht dominated the system, and the orbital was fluid-filled, highly pressurized, and reinforced to contain it all. Sindonic stuck out. His thin limbs and lack of a large shell quickly identified him as a void explorer. He didn't care. He continued through the station to a meeting module and waited. He sat, unsuited in the module, eating his waking meal. It took some time for the missives to find a willing recipient, but eventually a pair of Seabound pinged his module. He unfocused his eyes and pinged back to allow them in. Prydian and Mode wobbled in, leaving a trail of brine as they approached Sindonic's table. Sindonic raised his forearms and splayed open his quad-clawed hands. "In peace, I greet you." The 2 shelled Sknecht raised their hands out from under their domed carapaces and reciprocated the display. "In peace, we greet you." Prydian took a seat first, staring at the project leader. "We looked over your file work. You are quite gifted. Your new project has garnered a huge amount of debate. The politicians have gotten a hold of it. You're in memes already." Sindonic flittered his air-adapted outer gills, filtering more oxygen to help ease the anxiety. "I did not mean to do such. I'm just wanting to follow my research." Mode looked at Prydian and then over at Sindonic. He was larger, redder, and naturally commanded respect just by his colorings. Mode lifted his heavy shell and focused his eyes on the project leader. "You did not do anything. It is your research that has caused all the ruckus. You know that, right? It is merely science. It is nothing to be stirring about, Sindonic replied. Mode lifted an open claw and quickly snapped it shut. No, it is not merely science. It is ways of life, and science is throwing sand in the belts. Sindonic shifted to a darker blue. You pinged interest in my work. I did not come here to be berated. I am looking for benefactors. Mode lifted another claw and snapped it shut, closer to Sindonic. This is not your discussion. It is mine, and you will not talk up to me. Mode snapped a third claw shut, even closer. Shellbacks outnumber spacers hundreds to one. You know this. Everyone knows this. You are oddities, weaklings, small, easy to crunch. You know this? Sindonic blinked quickly, signaling yes. Good. Then I hope you are smart enough to know it doesn't matter. None of this posturing matters. My clan has made me head financier because I am smart enough to see it. Out there, out in the pure that you travel every day, it goes on forever, doesn't it? As far as we know, it does. Sindonic answered. Mode patted Prydian on the shell with his open claw. Prydian and I bonded in schooling. Our clans together have enough to fund your project. We are behind you fully, but we have requests that need fulfilled before we go further. Name them, and I will debate it, he said. Energy, resources, lineages, population control. It is all being thrown into the political fire. You thinners already mess with genes, but to make a purely engineered is, well, it has disturbed the mob. Prydian changed sitting position, putting his 4 open claws on the table. Claws are up across the worlds. They are snapping shut at the thought of it. Your kind are already outcast as it is, and the want to do what you envision is making lots ask why. Sindonic snapped his claws shut under the table. That is stupid. The why is all there is. We must. Our life limit is holding us back. Our energy needs are holding us back. My project solves both issues. We can become so much better. This is stupid. I just wanted to make a project pitch. Mode opened his claws, splaying them open on the table. Your pitch is received. We want our families to join you on your endeavor. Is that doable? Your families are tied to the finance structures of Abyssal, aren't they? That would be ruin. Your families would lose all they have in doing this, Sindonic said. Prydian opened his gill slits and let out a long breath. Yes, we would. But our minds have concluded along the same lines as yours for several generations. Evolution is happening, as much as we like to think we are immune. It happens anyway. Prydian tapped Sindonic's long wrist section of arm. And I'm not talking about your kind's lack of carapace. Then what are you talking about? He asked. Mode sat up further to give Sindonic a view of his unguarded underbelly. We rose up from the depths, chasing questions. The water column on the world below us is full of creatures fighting and feeding, who will never rise to the heights we have achieved. They will never leave the dark and see the stars. Yet we think progress is promised. It's not, he said, snapping a claw shut. It must always be worked toward. We can slip and regress far easier. We have had 17 known fallings. Archaeologists dig up proof daily from the muds of the Undercities. Prydian interrupted his larger cohort. You get it, don't you, Sindonic? All of this, we are in the midst of another falling. The idiots are grasping control again. They are blinded by rhetoric and backwards thinking. They want to posture and claw, fight over mates again. It is idiotic. We want to lose all we have, because all we have doesn't matter in light of what you are hoping to achieve. That progress is what will save us. Sindonic lowered his shoulders over his head. I don't know about that. I just want to build a research platform. Maybe live long enough to find my research probes. I think it's important. Mode stared at him. Why is it important, Sindonic? Well, I don't know. He stammered. Prydian forced the point. Why is it important? Sindonic straightened his shoulders up. Well, it's important because it's new, and we don't know what is on the other side. It is a door full of questions, and we should do what we can to get answers. Mode and Prydian shared a look. Mode looked back at Sindonic. My ancestor built the first bubble tower. Our people didn't know what leaving the dark would do for us. They had no idea where it would lead. Absolutely no idea. His discovery led to us sitting here in this waterless room, far above the waters of Abyssal. It led to you sitting here without a shell. We agree with you. We think these probes you have constructed are the next bubble tower, and this singularity station could be our next step out of the dark. That is why we want to fund it. Sindonic held out his arms. Mode and Prydian gladly took them in theirs, and they vibrated the deal to agreement.